Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on all kinds of issues related to narcissism, narcissistic relationships, narcissistic people, toxic relationships, you name it. My hope is that the content on this channel will help you understand narcissism and better understand the relationships you may be stuck in. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you will get daily reminders when we get put new videos up, which is every day. And if you like the video, give it that thumbs up. So it ensures it gets into more people's hands, so more people become a little bit more narcissist resistant. So this video actually dovetails a little bit more with how do we heal? How do we protect ourselves? And again, as always, I'm going to remind you, if you are interested in doing the deep dive into healing, please go to the video notes and hit the link there. But some of the elements of healing are so simple, and that's what this video is going to take on. And before I begin that, I'm going to put a question out to you. As you were trying to make sense of narcissistic abuse, did you feel that you had anyone who was a validating voice in your life, or no? Just a yes or no. Get a sense of that, because that's what I want to understand. I want all of you to understand before we get into this topic about thinking about how we heal from narcissistic abuse. And very simply, it just takes one person. So let's talk about this idea that it just takes one person. When people go through narcissistic abuse, the patterns of loneliness, isolation, and confusion are definitely some of the most problematic. And all of these patterns are magnified by a lack of support and a lack of people who can hear what you are going through and actually understanding what you're going through. Trauma-informed therapies generally have a central tenet to them, which is validation, a willingness to acknowledge that something did happen to you and that it was harmful to you. The majority of narcissistic abuse survivors don't get this from the world. At one level, there is the lack of acknowledgement that any of this narcissistic abuse stuff is a thing. No recognition that being in the regular presence of someone narcissistic is harmful to our mental health. People are told that they're making too big a deal of the bumps and grinds of a relationship, any relationship, or that they're too sensitive, or that they can learn to think differently about the situation, and that if they do that, that will alleviate their anxiety. Or there is an overall unwillingness to acknowledge how toxic the patterns of the narcissistic person are. The enablers keep you stuck. And if you are surrounded by them, it can be difficult to access help. So it would then stand to reason that the main tenets of treatment for people experiencing narcissistic abuse would be things like validation and acknowledgement that these personality styles do take a toll on people, that it is actually quite normal to feel confused and angry and powerless and helpless instead of wanting to just slap a diagnosis on you that you're depressed or anxious without hearing more about the narcissistic relationship and having a willingness to call the relationship what it is as well. But let's be honest, too many people do not have access to psychotherapeutic treatment, least of all with someone who has an expertise in narcissism and narcissistic abuse. So people are often quite unlikely to get this kind of support professionally. But how many people does it take to give you the validation to keep you from really getting severely damaged around narcissistic abuse? It just takes one. It takes one person who sees it, who gets it, who is willing to acknowledge it, to let you know you are seeing it clearly, to help you feel more sane, to push back on the gaslights. And the best analogy I can give you is if you saw a UFO, you would feel much better if there was another person there with you and they were sober, but if there's another person there with you, and even if the whole world doubted you, there was someone else to say, yep, that was real. We saw a UFO, even if the world says it was not. It just takes one person. It can take one person saying, not okay. I'm watching you with this person. This person's invalidating you. This person's gaslighting you. You did what you said you did what you said you would do. Or what that person I'm seeing you with is aggressive or cruel or manipulative or mean, or what this other person's doing to you is not okay, no matter what kind of blame shifting, justifying BS they are engaging in. It just takes one person to notice that stuff. And armed with that mirror, you are in a better place to make decisions and to just keep yourself and leave yourself feeling intact. We lose a lot of our bandwidth in narcissistic relationships by doubting ourselves. Did I say that? Am I the bad one? Am I overreacting? What do I do about this? How do I survive this? Am I good enough? What did I miss? Am I the dumb one? All this rumination takes up a lot of energy. It's like running 20 computers on your home internet. The whole thing is going to slow way down. And with that lost bandwidth, it is even harder to advocate for ourselves, make decisions, do the things we need to do to get out of a situation, to get the help we need, or to even begin to think about healing. So if one person validates you and is able to give you a clear mirror, we get that bandwidth back, right? We stop feeling crazy. Some of the rumination abates if somebody does that for us. We have more strength, more courage. We have more belief in ourselves and have access to our own truth to actually think about doing what needs to be done, whatever that may be. Having one person validate us can help lift the helplessness and the powerlessness. It never ceases to amaze me how many enablers there are out there. The folks who are invested in the status quo, who have warm and fuzzy woo-woo visions of the world, who believe everyone can change. And as a result, those folks can really make the invalidation worse. But it only takes one. Sometimes this one may be a therapist, sometimes a friend, sometimes someone in a support group. And if you are really lucky, you have more than one. Keep this in mind. If it only takes one for you, then you may be able to be that one for another person. Listen when people tell you if they're experiencing patterns of a toxic relationship. It isn't easy to listen, right? Because it punctures holes in our worldview about love and relationships, and it hurts to see someone we care about hurt. And sometimes for us to be that one person for another person can mean that we have to shift our own status quo. Our own lives may become more complicated. By calling out gaslighting when we see it, or letting people know something didn't look right or feel right or respectful, by just pointing that out, we may become that person for someone. It only requires one. It doesn't require 25 people all validating you. It only takes one. And once that happens, a person may actually feel as though the curtain in front of their eyes has been lifted and finally give themselves permission to do what they need to do for their own healing or self-rescue. And to the people out there who have been that person for me, thank you, because you saved me. Thanks again.